Has science really proven stretching is more harmful than beneficial? Sports medicine has advanced significantly over the last decade. Specialists in the field today have access to resources and tools that were not available 20 years ago. Now, this has enabled exercise professionals to conduct clinical studies to help distinguish pseudoscience from actual facts. Now, a popular concept that has been under the microscope recently is the impact that stretching has on athletes if it's done before exercise. Some coaches and trainers swear by this and include it in their warm-up sessions, while others skip it. Now, us over at Cell Sauce, we like to research. So we researched this question, and here's what we've learned. Now let's dive into a few types of the stretching. So here's a few of the stretches and techniques widely used in sports and exercise. First, there's static stretching. It's something you've done probably lots. It's stretching in a position where you stretch a muscle and you just stretch down and you hold that position for a specific amount of time, 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds, whatever. Now this is the most common type of stretching, and it's also considered the safest. Now, the next one is dynamic stretching. This is movement-based stretching. This is typically used, we like to use it as a warm-up before activity. The movements are done similar to what you would do in your sport or your activity, and the movements are taken to the end of your range of motion, but they don't exceed the range of motion like you would do in a ballistic stretch. Now, an example of dynamic stretching would be slow controlled leg swings, arm swings, torso twists, again, slow and controlled. Now, the next one is ballistic stretching. Now, this stretching is using the momentum of ballistic movement to improve your effects, to improve the stretch, right? Now, an example is when an athlete stands on a step and bounces on their toes, and their heel goes up and down, it goes below the step. And now this is a type of ballistic stretch where you're forcing the muscle past its range of motion. Now, ballistic stretching can cause injury if it's not done correctly, and really you should only do it if you're kind of skilled in that department. Now, there's also proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. PNF is stretching technique, which you use the muscle stretched, is contracted maximally, then the muscle is relaxed, and it's either actively stretched by contraction or the opposing muscle, or it's passively stretched. Simply explained with all that jargon, this is when you extend a joint's range of motion through assistance. Typically, this type of stretching is done with a partner, or you're using tools like stretching straps. Now, what happens when you actually stretch your muscles? Well, first, increased range of motion is the primary reason why stretching is important in sports and in exercise. In this regard, a broader understanding of stretching is useful, so for a few seconds, just kind of zoom in with me here. Now imagine zooming out from a muscular fiber in slow motion. Stretching begins deep in the muscle fiber with the sarcomere. This is the basic unit of contraction in the muscle fiber. As the sarcomere contracts, there's actually an overlapping area between the thick and thin myofilaments. It actually increases. As it stretches, this area of overlap decreases, allowing the muscle fibers to elongate. Once the muscle fiber is at its maximum resting length, when all the sarcomeres are fully stretched, additional stretching places force on the surrounding connective tissue. As the tension increases, the collagen fibers in the connective tissue align themselves along the same line of force as the tension. Hence, when you stretch the muscle fiber, it's pulled to its full length, sarcomere by sarcomere, and then the connective tissue takes up the remaining slack. When this occurs, it helps to realign any disorganized fibers in the direction of the tension. Now, once the muscle is fully stretched, you may start to notice a twitching or a spasm. This is known as myoclonus. It means the muscle group has stretched to its maximum ability. When this process happens repeatedly, musculotendinitis tissues adapt to a new position. It's through this process that the flexibility and range of motion is actually improved. This has several benefits, including good health, good posture, reduced risk of injury, and improved performance. So we know that stretching is good for your body for all those reasons, but should you actually stretch before exercise? It has been a common practice over the past few decades to stretch before exercise. A lot of coaches have done this. But does it actually prevent injury, improve performance, or actually prevent delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS? Now, if you're suffering from post-workout soreness, you can also use some of our recovery products to help you speed up the recovery and reduce some of that pain and soreness. Now, The rationale for stretching before exercise activity is that stretching increases the compliance by decreasing the stiffness of the tendon unit and thus theoretically makes it less prone to injury before exercise. Sounds logical, right? Unfortunately, these recommendations are not based on actual research. According to this study, the basic science literature doesn't actually support that it reduces the risk of injury. Now, here's what they found. First, stretching before exercise should have no effect for activities in which excessive muscle length is not an issue, like jogging. Second, stretching won't affect muscle compliance during eccentric activity, which most strains are believed to occur. Third, stretching can produce damage at the cytoskeleton level. Fourth, stretching appears to mask muscle pain in humans. Now, many studies have found that stretching prior to or after exercise does little to prevent either injury or muscle soreness. This means stretching before exercise might just be a waste of time. Some clinical studies even found that stretching immediately before exercise may cause performance decrements. So, what should you do? The best advice based on actual science is to use dynamic stretching and sport-specific movements before you exercise to actually warm up. This gets the blood flowing and helps your muscles be warm before exercise and makes you feel ready. And then on non-training days, focus on stretching to improve flexibility and range of motion.